What's up, you guys? This is Moral of the Story, and for today's story, we are going over Cynthia Erivo's starring in Jesus Christ Superstar and how people are upset about it. They are mad. I mean, it's typically Christians who are upset about it, and I think some other conservatives maybe, but I've seen a lot of Christian people talk about it and have their opinions on it. And honestly, do they know anything about the musical? The people are upset. Do y'all know anything about the musical? Because you're more upset about Cynthia playing Jesus because she's a woman. And you should be more mad about the musical in general because the entire thing is blasphemous. Not just Cynthia playing Jesus, the entire thing. Okay, and this came out like 50 years ago, something like that. And so I just don't think these people have either they haven't seen the musical or they know nothing about it. I mean, the title alone, Jesus Christ Superstar, should have already raised red flags, okay? And as a Christian myself, when I first heard of it and I saw that title, I'm like, this got to be a joke anyways. So I don't understand. We're going to get into it. But before we get into that, I am Moral of the Story. And on this channel, we yap. Okay, we just talk about politics, pop culture, YouTube drama, anything that piques my interest. I come on here and yap about it to you guys. So if that's something that you're interested, please subscribe, like, leave a comment. I'll probably reply. I'm always in the comment section below. And yeah, let's get into the video. So what happens when you take the final days of Jesus Christ, right? Then throw in some electric guitars, a whole lot of emotional drama, and leave out the resurrection, all right? You get Jesus Christ Superstar. That is literally what the musical is, okay? Already blasphemous. They don't even say that Jesus resurrected. So off the bat, you already have red flags, okay? Let's break it down, okay? Jesus Christ Superstar was created in 1970 by Andrew Lloyd Webber and Tim Rice, I think is his name. And it's a rock opera, okay? So there's no dialogue, it's just songs, just people singing. And it focuses on the last week of Jesus's life. But it goes from the perspective of Judas, right? So yes, Jesus is obviously a main character in this musical, but it's coming from the perspective of Judas seeing Jesus's life come to an end in the last week of his ending days. And in this version, Judas isn't just some greedy backstabber, okay? He's actually more relatable. That's what they try to make Judas seem. He questions Jesus's motives. He tries to give Jesus advice, trying to say that the things that he's doing is going to cause an uproar and eventually lead to his death like it did. So the perspective is switched, right? In the Bible, Jesus is not lacking of anything, right? He's not confused, concerned, or misguided by anything. Yet in this musical, Judas is the one who is questioning him, making it seem like Jesus doesn't know what he's doing. So, okay, blasphemous right there. Now let's talk about how Jesus Christ Superstar stacks up to the actual Gospels. So what's accurate about Jesus Christ Superstar? When I did my research, once again, I haven't seen the musical. I just did research about it, wanted to see how it lines up with the actual Gospels itself. And this is what it says. So the timeline is pretty spot on, right? So there's the Last Supper, the betrayal, the trial, the crucifixion. The main people are still there, right? Jesus, Judas, you have the disciples, Mary Magdalene, Pontius Pilate, they're all there, okay? And there are even some lyrics that pull directly from the Bible itself, okay? But here's where things take a turn, right? So Jesus, when he's singing, when he's giving his perspective, he seems tired, confused, okay? He's sometimes even unsure about the things that he's doing and unsure of God's plan. Now that's not necessary. No. The unsurety is definitely does not align with the gospel. But there has been times where you see Jesus, like once again, when he was praying right before his death, where he was essentially saying like, God, please take this burden away from me. So there are other aspects of where that can line up. But to say that he's unsure is completely wrong. Another thing is that they have they play on this love interest that Mary has to Jesus, essentially saying that Christ and Mary were having some type of love relationship, or that Mary wanted to be in a relationship with Jesus. And so there's all of these things that are happening in this musical where I'm just like, if you actually watched it or did any research about it, you shouldn't be surprised that they have someone like Cynthia playing Jesus. And I'm saying that because nothing about the story is accurate. It's a musical. And I'm saying that's okay, but I'm saying it's already blasphemous to begin with. So what are you enraged about? Okay, I don't understand. And the biggest thing, like I mentioned before, is there's no resurrection. Jesus does not resurrect. He dies, does not come back to life. That is everything about the gospel it goes against, especially that. That is the most important part of the gospel. That is the whole meaning of the gospel. Jesus coming back from the dead, from dying from our sins, and defeating death. Yet, this musical does not play on that at all. So, if anything, you should be mad about the musical in general, not just about Cynthia playing Jesus, okay? About the musical in totality. And this has been out for years. So yeah, obviously Christians should be upset about it, right? The Vatican and many churches called it disrespectful. In South Africa, it was even outright banned. Evangelists were protesting it for years, okay? But for some reason, Tim Rice, the lyricist of the musical, has said that he wasn't even trying to discredit Jesus, okay? I don't know how he came to that conclusion. Did he not read the Bible? I don't know. Did he not read the Gospels? Probably not. But he said he just wanted to show how the people around him may have seen him at the time. Now, what I was actually completely shocked about too is that on the flip side, besides obviously there was some uproar about this, but there were some Christians that even thought that the musical was powerful and had a human take on Jesus. So I guess some people resonated with it because they wanted to know what it was really like to follow Jesus, seeing someone who's claiming to be God and doing all of these things. And maybe there was some doubt in people's minds, right? I don't doubt that. But to sit here and say that you weren't trying to take away Jesus' divinity, I don't know if I would go that far and say that, or feel comfortable with saying that they weren't trying to at least take away the fact that Jesus was God, right? Once again, there was no resurrection. That doesn't even follow what the Bible actually says. So it's not just showing a different perspective, it's completely changing the story, the most important part of the story, right? Going back to Cynthia Erivo, you're mad at someone who's playing Jesus in a musical that already removed his divinity, okay, shifted the spotlight to Judas, and implies a whole romance between Jesus and Mary Magdalene. Make it make sense. Obviously, they're not following the story to begin with. They're not following the gospel to begin with. And look, I'm not saying you have to love it. If you're a Christian, you should not like it at all. I'm not trying to advocate for the musical. I'm not trying to stand up for the musical, but be consistent. You're going to sit here and be mad at Cynthia playing Jesus, okay? When Jesus has been depicted with blonde hair and blue eyes for years. I mean, that's not historically accurate at all. So it's just, I don't know. I think people are just trying to find something to be mad at. And honestly, her performance was great. I saw a song that she sung, sounded beautiful, okay? Which obviously is going to make people even more confused about why they're enraged and just saying that they're just being a bigot or they're just mad because she's either black or gay, something like that. Okay. Just be consistent. All right. You're just making people point a perspective on Christians that are just unnecessary. It's already blasphemous to begin with. If anything, you should be protesting the musical, not Cynthia playing Jesus. Yeah, so moral of the story, I am not surprised. Me personally, my personal opinion, I am not surprised that they have somebody like Cynthia. You know, she just blew up from Wicked. She's, gained a lot of traction. She's a phenomenal singer. I am not surprised that they casted her. Okay, and it's got people talking. I think that's exactly what they wanted to. I am not surprised as well because the musical itself is already blasphemous. So them doing even more blasphemous stuff doesn't really shock me at all. I don't think people should be as enraged. I think their focus should be more on the musical itself and not Cynthia playing Jesus. But hey, that's my opinion. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.